Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Captain Vaughan Rickson. Following 45 years of service in the Royal Australian Navy, this evening's ceremony marks the final duty of Captain Rickson in uniform. Sir, we thank you for your service. We warmly welcome the family of Corporal Oliver Henry Bennett, whose story will be told shortly. We are also honoured to welcome Major General Michael Ryan and his accompanying family members. Following more than 3 decades of distinguished service in the Australian Defence Force, this week marks the retirement of Major General Ryan. Sir, we thank you for your service. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We also acknowledge the members of the RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching this ceremony broadcast across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Thank you. If you're able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Corporal Oliver Henry Bennett. Oliver Bennett was born in 1893 in Nyngan, Western New South Wales, the eldest surviving son of Oliver and Sarah Bennett. His father was a sheep station manager in the district and died of measles when Oliver was 5 years old. Oliver's mother was left to raise Oliver, his brother Alfred, and newborn Mona. Oliver attended school in the district before going on to work as a farmhand. Bennett volunteered for service in the Australian Imperial Force in early 1916. He completed his initial training at camps in northern New South Wales before embarking at Sydney on the transport ship Beltana in May. He arrived in England in July and continued his training at the army camps on Salisbury Plain. In November 1916, he left England and sailed to France, where he joined the 36th Battalion. Bennett and his battalion first entered the trenches in December, enduring the bitter winter of 1916 to 1917, the coldest in living memory. Bennett showed promise as a soldier and was made a temporary corporal in March 1917 when a superior was wounded in action. In the middle of the year, the British focus shifted north, away from the Somme River Valley in France and towards the Flanders region of Belgium. In June, British commanders sought to capture a ridgeline running south of Ypres at the village of Messines. Unbeknownst to the German defenders, their trenches had been undermined and filled with explosives by British, Canadian and Australian forces. Early in the morning of the 7th of June 1917, these explosives were detonated, destroying the German defences and allowing the Allied forces to capture the ridgeline. As the Australians marched towards the front lines, they came under a German artillery barrage and gas attack. The 3rd Division, of which the 36th Battalion was a part, suffered 500 casualties as men were put out of action. Australian casualties were high during the capture of Messines. Among those killed in action on the 7th of June was Oliver Bennett. He was 24 years old. Today, his remains lie buried at Mud Corner Cemetery in Belgium, close to where he was killed. His mother chose the following inscription for his headstone: "In our hearts your memory lingers, not a day we do not think of you." Corporal Oliver Henry Bennett is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Corporal Oliver Henry Bennett, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrubber Gallipoli with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorials Development Project. We particularly appreciate your visit despite the challenges posed by COVID and wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.